Welcome to another episode of The Practical Metaphysical Journey, the place where practical meets the paranormal, the mundane meets the metaphysical, and the spiritual meets the spooky. A place where we share the experiences of our journeys here on Earth. We encourage you to listen and see what resonates, because we're all different yet the same. We invite you to take a break with us, so unpack and stay a while. We're glad you stopped by for a visit. Welcome back for part 2 of Are We There Yet?
Mm-hmm. I think what you were talking about with the journey and having like the departure, the initiation, and the return, like the steps of that. Another modality that I took a class in is crystalline consciousness technique, and it talks about everything we do. Talking about that spiral that you're talking about, you want to go keep going, higher. Higher vibration, whatever that looks like, but you're just evolving, right? You go through 3 phases. So in that modality, you go through your idea phase, your chaos and creation phase, and then transformation. And then you just keep working through those 3 phases with everything all the time. So again, multiple things, again, going quantum on that, that's everything that's happening. But some of us, just like we talked about, before, like it's in my chart that I skip steps or whatever. Some of us are better at ideas, some of us are better at chaos and creation, and some of us are better at transformation. Some people can do all 3, some people can only do 1. So you, like you were saying, call a friend, get your lifeline. Somebody might need to help you get through the chaos phase or get you started in chaos or pull you through to transformation, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So we're on our individual journeys, but at some point having friends or something else that can push us or pull us or move us out of a place where we feel stuck is important, and not feel like this is our journey alone. And no, a lot of the transformation comes from the experiences we have
Absolutely.
with other people. So,
And that triggered me to go to some of the notes that I had, and as I mentioned, to me, a lot of this relates back to Carl Jung and his theories of what he calls individuation, which to me is kind of that journey. He defines it, individuation, according to Carl Jung, is the lifelong psychological process of becoming your true and authentic self. So what you had said, Lisa, that triggered me to think about that is, you said some people are good at the chaos, some people are good at the ideas and all. And I've gone through not that training, but Myers-Briggs and all of that. And what they typically would say in all of those is, learn to understand where you tend to go, but don't have that limit you. So if you find out I'm really good at the chaos piece of it, doesn't mean you can't do the others, or you could go explore those.
right.
So don't, it goes back to labels. Don't label yourself as something and think that's the only thing you can ever do.
So I have a quiz. I have a quiz that can tell us which one or all. Like you could have, you could be a 5-5-5. You could be good at all of them, or you might be a 9-0-1. It tells you where you fall on this scale. So maybe we could do that together, and
that would be great fun.
And we'll figure it out, and then maybe that could expand on a second conversation later or something, once we kind of have that information.
Yeah, absolutely. We can even attach that, if possible, to the podcast if other people want to go through that
maybe,
too, and do some follow-up research.
Yeah, or that could just be a second one where I just walk through all the questions and then you add a total up, and that'd be fun.
It's a Cosmo quiz.
There you go.
Who remembers what Cosmopolitan magazine was in the Cosmo quiz?
What's a magazine?
Yeah, there we go. Uh-oh.
Doesn't that go in your gun?
Yeah. Now I lost the thought, but going back to that, I think with the journey and okay, now I remember what my thought is. It took me a moment, but it came back. I forgot a pen, so I can't write my notes down. Yeah, I know. Thank you. I didn't think this was going to be a 1 episode recording.
Yeah.
Because that whole idea of you're on that journey and you're learning to become your authentic self, that takes a lot of work, and as you were mentioning with what you were quoting earlier, that whole self introspection and looking at yourself and learning to understand who you are and why you are who you are, is that what we're ultimately, I think, working towards, and it's not an easy thing. It's not going to be done overnight. You may be doing it for years and you never get it. Or if you're into the past lives thing, some of that could be one of those lessons that you're learning about yourself is taking multiple lifetimes. You're coming back to figure that out. So thinking of that, it's that would be interesting. But like I said, just for me, I like doing those different tests.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just making sure you don't think that that's the only thing that you can do.
Exactly.
There's so many different ways to get through that process and get to learn to know yourself. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago that I bring back from time to time when I remember to do it is conversing with my future self. And sometimes when I'm going through something, I'm like, okay, my future self, and I don't attach that in the future. Well, now I am running because my dream was to run a winery that had alpacas on it. Okay, so here I am, my winery owning, llama owning, alpaca owning person out here giving me advice, and but it's just taking that person out of it that is a centered future me, and having that conversation. It's like, oh my gosh, I remember when we went through this, whatever the issue is I'm going through now. She goes, and it's just a little conversation that I have. Oh my God, I remember when we went through that. But then just knowing that there is a future me, and it's like, okay, I don't need to get into it. I don't need to look for the solutions. I always at least try to make her say, oh my gosh, that didn't take any time at all, though. That we got through that pretty quick. It's almost like just reassuring myself to myself that this is nothing we're going through is forever. It's just for now, not forever. So, and I remind myself of that a lot.
I think having a lot of grace for ourselves, because as you were talking, I'm thinking, so what does that look like then? Like, do we ever get to the end? Are we ever whole? Are we ever healed? Like, all of that comes to mind too. It's like, well, I've carried this stuff past, like you said, if it's lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, is it still going to be in my suitcase when I come back again? Just all of that kind of thing. It just gives me some grace. Like, you know what? Yeah, I probably don't have to figure it all out right now, or in this lifetime. I might not figure it all out, and that's okay, because it's a journey, and there should be some fun involved there. There might be some hardships. There's going to be all the emotional stuff, but it should at some point become fun or enjoyable. You should be looking forward to this, and maybe we say breaks or feeling stuck. Like, hopefully it is where you feel it's more of a break and not that you're stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a journey. So you're just you pulled off on the rest stop and you're refueling or whatever that looks like, and then you're going to get back on the road again.
And excuse me. And how much of the way we're looking at this being, you're on a journey and you need to get to something, is our perspective of it. I'm trying to figure out, in my head I know exactly what I want to say. How much of what we're talking about is limited based on us being in human form, using a human language in a 3D environment, versus like being in 5D where there is no time, there's no words. When we talk about journey of getting somewhere, that's a measurement, and that's something that was created, we as humans, because we wanted to start measuring things. We wanted to measure time. So, where we freak out that are we stuck or are we getting to where we're supposed to? How much of that is just like built into us as humans, but isn't really necessary on that journey of for me, reconnecting to the source and, reconnecting to energy.
Do you think that goes to the fact that we are energetic beings? We talk about, our conversations anyways, the mind, body, spirit, right? And having an integration of those three things at any one time, or hopefully all the time,
Yeah.
that we can tap into that intuition, all the other, gifts that we have. How much of it is energetic? Like our brains are doing, the checks and balances, but our body's like, I got this, like it's okay. Like you're kind of like your body's your energetic body is your groovy self, your groovy self's over here like, gosh, you take everything too seriously, like your brain's like having to figure it out. I think that's what I do a lot is I don't realize that I need a little bit of downtime to integrate, I guess is a good word for it.
Yeah, and I like my downtime. I'll wallow in my downtime as long as I possibly can until someone gives me the boot to the bum and says, all right, out of the pool, you're all pruny. It's like, oh, fine, I'll go on to the next thing. But yeah, it's because that keeps me from, like we were talking about with the time frame, judging where I'm at, where I should be, when do I need to accomplish this by, and just kind of settling with that. It's hard sometimes that I'm exactly where I need to be right now. Mm-hmm. And just and allowing that to be okay, giving yourself permission for that to be okay for you, and we're always going to self-monitor and start thinking thoughts. Well, but shouldn't I be here? Shouldn't I be there? And well, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me that I can't do this? Why am I stuck? How come I'm not? And we look at it as a big problem when actually that is just our moment of grace, because we are, like you said, energetic beings. We're responding to the different energies that the Earth is constantly emitting with Schumann resonances and various other things, cosmic things that are going on with solar flares and meteors and
Mercury
astronomy
retrograde.
And yes, exactly, and all that stuff that goes on. And so it's like, when is it okay for us to just be a part of all that and not separate from it and go with those flows? You can only fight a wave for so long.
Well, let me ask you, Debbie, you're talking about your winery with alpacas or llamas. Is that something that's still a goal? Like, or was that just something you kind of made up?
I would love that. I think it just seems like a good idea to me. And it was something that was in the back of my head for the longest time, because it just seems like a lot of fun. Now, in reality, it's probably way more fun to visit one than own it, worry about all the realities, the feeding, the caring for, the vet bills, the crops, the whatever.
She went to the brain. She's
I
the brain.
did. There's the brain. Whereas the idea of going to one, having somebody else pop the cork, haul an alpaca over for me to pet, or have the alpaca bring me the wine. There we go. That's what I'm like. That is intensely better than sitting there and having to, figure out all the brain stuff of it all. But yeah, I put that out there at one point in the universe. Who knows? It could happen. Weirder things have happened.
But if it doesn't, will you feel like you did not come to the end of the journey?
No, that was that's just a thought. So it's like, okay, it doesn't have to be the goal. Because one of the things that I've been working on too is life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So I'm trying in the mornings, I'm being pretty good at it so far, saying, I wonder where I'm going to take life today. Instead of, where's life taking me today? What's going to happen to me today? Where am I going to take life today? What direction? Kind of like there was another phrase that I used to say all the time. They used to scare the people I work with and say, I wonder what I'm going to do next. And they were like, oh God, please don't let it involve me. You're going to do something weird now. And but yeah, I wonder what I'm going to do next. And then just leave it open.
Yeah, I think being open and keep staying in the question of anything is a good thing.
Yeah.
We talked about that in an earlier episode, is staying in the question so that way it's expansive and not coming to conclusions, which is kind of where I was going with it. Like, well, so if it doesn't happen...
I'm good. Now, someone who wants to, say, invest in such a foray in the future and says, oh my God, she'd be perfect with alpacas and winery, and then you can be the person that comes and visits. I will do that all day long.
When you said have the llama bring you the wine, I'm thinking, images of St. Bernards with the the whiskey casks, fitting that on a llama so they can wander over and you
they have
with a little
packs.
tap and
Just a brief distraction here. There are places in North Carolina and South Carolina where the llamas are caddies on the golf course and carry the golf clubs. I can't make this up. I've been to these places. So
That's awesome.
yes, or they carry the picnic. You can go places and go for a hike with the llama, and they carry all the stuff for your picnic. So yeah, here's the thought behind that too. Yeah, oh, I'm going on this hike with a llama. I don't like hiking, but they managed to make it sound good because I've got a llama at the end of the rope who's got food. So
You know what you can do? This is just an extra idea because, people love to have weddings at wineries.
100%.
The llamas can carry the rings down the aisle.
It's all good till they spit in someone's eye, but yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, I was in a llama craze for quite a while and an alpaca craze for quite a while. So
No problema.
no problema, no drama llama. We can do this all day. David's gonna have some kind of editing to do.
So does it come down to stop measuring? So you're saying, if I get to a certain point, because it sounds like when you measure, you're judging,
Yeah.
and we know judging is something that kind of delays or stagnates.
That stops the energy for sure.
Stops the energy.
Yeah, I think it's okay to assess and try not to judge. But I think that's difficult to do. Say, okay, here's where I am right now, and we're taught goals. What's the first thing you get asked in an interview? What's your 5-year goal? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want?
And that leads me to one of the other bullet points, or one of the questions I had down here is, how do you keep track of, like, your successes, your accomplishments, your failures, as you're on this trip?
Well, I think the failures, or things that trigger you or that you struggled with, kind of find a way to come back around and test your reaction to it. And so that's how I test it. If it comes back around and I'm like, and then have that recognition like, oh man, this really used to bug the crap out of me, but I did not react today like, then like, hey, I've made some progress. Like it's a tester way to make some progress or test your progress.
Yeah, I think it's funny when people talk about something that they've been through or they're going through or something like that, and I realize that, it's something that I had to deal with or that I went through, and I found my way around that because it's a reminder, because I'm so forward thinking that it brings, oh yeah, I went through that, and then trying not to share my particular story as the cure-all to their situation, because I am always right, and I will tell them that. And if only they would do what I say. But it's that, I went through something like that. Yeah, I came out on the other side of that. Good on me. It's and journaling sometimes too. I tend not to go back and read them because that's just weird to me. I feel like it's a different person when I can't go back and read old journals of mine, because I'm like, wow, that person was going through some stuff, or wow, that's weird. It really feels like I'm reading somebody else's journal. Mm-hmm. So I have a whole bunch of them, but I'm like, yeah, I keep them there in case I'm famous someday. Yeah, I want to put this out in the public, but God help everybody. But it's one of those things. It really does feel like a different person. I feel like I have made strides and I'm moving forward. So
what I've done a couple of times is at the beginning of the year I'll do a vision board. So I'll sit there with sticky notes and kind of just write down all the things that I should be doing. Yeah. And I've done it a couple of times, because what happened is after the first one, at the end of the year, I sat down to do the next year's, and I started pulling off all the sticky notes for the things that I accomplished. So even though I didn't really feel like I did much that year, when I pulled all those stickies off, I was like, I actually got more done than I thought I had. Mm-hmm.
And what about the things you had left on the board? Did you bring them to the next year, or did you feel like they kind of resolved themselves too?
It was a mix,
okay,
depending upon what was going on.
Okay.
Because your priorities are going to change and so forth. While I was working on that online degree that I did, I had hit a couple points where I became stagnant because I was overwhelmed. I had so much going on, and that for me, getting unstuck at that point was, okay, let's sit down. Okay, for the next 3-4 months, I'm going to concentrate on the degree program, just get that done out of the way. and then I can pull the other stuff back up to priority list.
I do love me some lists. I'm not gonna lie. That's one of my things.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love lists. I'll sit there and make the most random lists, but I love being able to cross things off my
Yeah.
list. But then, it's that type of thing where it's like laundry, do dishes, do this or that. Well, that's a reoccurring list. That's just no fun.
Those should
But-
just be hard copied on the bottom.
Exactly. A little box next to it you check off.
Laminate them so they
Yeah,
just
they-
stays there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's funny because I used to have a lot of time frames for things, and now I don't. I'm starting to put some together, but I'm less worried now about doing things by a certain time. I don't know whether that's come with age, or what. Or I don't think so. That doesn't feel right to me. I think it's just I'm okay where I am. There's enough things going on right now, and I'm happy with my interests that I'm involved in. So it's just a nice space to be in. My big goal is to have all of the crystals. I want all the rocks.
You can't have all of
I'm
them
getting
because
there.
I've got a lot of them too, so you
I
can't
know where you
have
live.
Crystals,
I know where you live too.
crystal studded collars for llamas.
Oh, hey.
I'm already working on that for pets.
Unless they're girls, then they get tiaras.
Oh yeah, it's a tiara. It's a tiara. Absolutely. Yes, I've got a whole chapter I'm working on for crystals for pets, for elixirs and collars and horses for putting in their manes and that type of thing. Oh yeah.
Fun. So when you said that about age, that's where my brain went first. I'm thinking, oh yes, because when
'Cause I'm
you
old.
can look back. But then I thought, I did the same thing. I went, no, I think that is a recognition of your progress on your journey.
Yeah.
And that you are being more objective, looking at things. Because I'm sure there's young people that can do that too.
Oh sure.
But I think that's just part of our journeys is just being able to.
My journey's all
Recognize that.
y'all's fault because you started this nonsense with the crystals for me. So I got you to blame and thank for this. I don't know what the heck happened. Yes, I'm doing rock tumbling. Go back to our interview, our podcast on crystals. Fine, I'm rock tumbling. Never thought it would happen.
Well, I go back to the podcast we did on good and bad, and we talked a lot about perception versus perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, when you were saying that, I kind of thought age too, but how much of it is we've learned to shift from perception to using more perspective. So when you look at, this needs to be done by Saturday, well, the perspective is, if it doesn't get done by Saturday, you do it Sunday.
Right.
Not a
Right.
big deal. Versus the perception of, like, I got to
It
get
has
it
to be
done.
done.
I
Yeah,
got
but I'm a loser if I don't get it done. I never
Right.
get anything done. And
Yeah.
then you start going into devolving instead of evolving.
I think a lot of it too has been, the practices that we've all been involved in and the things that we've seen and learned and the meditation. The growth really has come already from a lot of these combined things that we've been doing. And, angel therapy or angels, dealing with angels or crystals or whatever else, they've been a part of my journey. And they're still there. Some I focus on more than others at times, but that's okay. It's like friends, some you talk to more often than others, and the different reasons for doing that. But they're always there with you. They're your allies and your companions, and sometimes you need a break from friends and family too that are supposed to be your friends and allies and companions. And it just depends on where the resonance is at that time. But a lot of it has really been growth. And we always think, I'm spiritually growing until I get there. Get where? When do I know I've made it spiritually,
Yeah, but I
I
think
have my
that's
own
why I like
cult.
spiritual development because there's no end point to that. You're always developing,
Right.
So I take that stance to it because I don't want to feel like a loser. Like I didn't accomplish it. I think it is a progression of adventures that we're having through hopefully our whole life.
Yeah.
Hopefully it takes us through our whole life. So
And
I hope there's not an end. I hope
No. And I think the hero's journey, it's like not the hero that slayed the dragon or found the Holy Grail. It's the things that you overcome along the way. So you're a hero every part of the journey. And, without taking away from the meaning of the word hero and the definition of it, but you are. Anything that you overcome, that you've had to go through any process over, yeah, okay, I won over that. So I really think that you're continually being a hero. It's not you're only a hero if you do one specific thing. So, and it does, and your journey, it does. It always incorporates other people and situations that you can't get through your journey without. So, and you're being a hero in that time to somebody else on their journey.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're out on the journey, do you always need a goal? Or is it okay to just saying, I'm going on an adventure?
I like the adventure. I've never been a good goal setter or target maker.
Yeah.
People use different terminology because goal sometimes is a trigger for some people. They're like, oh no, let's call it a target or let's call it something else.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. It's still a bullet point or something in either in your brain or on paper. Yeah, so I like adventure better. Maybe that's an age thing again too, but I look back at being younger and not knowing what I wanted to be when I grew up,
Yeah.
So I've kind of been that person, so that might not speak to other people that are very driven by that. So again, have grace with yourself and know yourself, because it's still a journey. It doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't matter whether we wrap it around.
When I went to that conference in West Palm, they had the panel of all the speakers up the first night, and somebody had come up, and you could hear in her voice she was just distraught. She had evidently been through quite a bit and was trying to overcome adversity in her life. And she asked the panel, did I truly choose to be here?
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody was talking a little bit about how you come to Earth, you choose to come to Earth, and most people think through of you chose to come here for a reason, like to learn a specific item or something like that. So she asked that question, and their immediate response was, well, if you didn't, who did? Because it kills the whole free will thing. If somebody decided for you to be here to experience something, okay, then because free will is going to be one of our episodes at some point.
Yeah.
But and it was that, and there was the woman who was one of the speakers. Unfortunately, I don't remember her name, but she had like stage 4, I believe it was lung cancer, at the point where the doctors are saying make final arrangements and all of that. And she had a near-death experience, came back, and within like 3 months had no visible cancer in her body at all.
Wow.
So she was one of those people going like, if not you, then who did? And then somebody else had also said, they look at it was, when you're outside of Earth, it's not that you make the decision necessarily to come to Earth to learn a specific lesson. You make the decision, I'm going to go on an adventure.
Yeah.
So you don't know what you're going to experience on Earth, but you made the decision that you're going to go there and you're going to experience something.
Yeah.
So it goes that going on a journey doesn't necessarily mean I'm heading towards a specific item. I'm going on an adventure. I'm going to experience stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
the
that's
word right
it.
there. It's the experience, because we only grow, the universe only grows from what it experiences. You can't not have experiences and grow. And if that's what the whole deal with the cosmos is, or the God force, it's constantly learning, but it can only do it through experience. It can't do it in a vacuum. So, yeah, the adventure and, then getting into like soul contracts and things like that, you can break a soul contract. It's, what are they going to do, kill you? So,
They'll just come back and do it again.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, how sign up for a timeshare, try to get out of that contract. It's you can get out of just about any contract. You do have free will. You don't have to be doomed to something, is kind of what I'm trying to get around saying. But
I want to talk to you about your car extended warranty.
Exactly. The 50th call. Boy, those people give you a million chances to get out of that contract, huh?
Yeah. There was another quote, a piece of information that I had found, and it related to Jung. Again, because Jung was what, 60? No, he ways back. I can't remember
Yeah.
when he was through, but so much of what he talks about to me just applies to all of this. So there's this place called the Jungiancenter.org, and they said this theory of individuation, exploring yourself, has redefined hero. It's no longer about the hero going out and working externally, like slaying the dragon or whatever, like you
Right.
mentioned. It's now inner focused.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when Jung talks about that, it is that, working on yourself, looking inside, trying to learn to integrate both your conscious and your unconscious mind so that you can operate and know. And a lot of that and getting that to work is doing things, he calls it shadow work. It's facing those things that upset you and starting to realize that, maybe I don't have to get upset. So thank you for taking the last hour and being on the journey with us. No, seriously, appreciate you listening to this particular podcast. And as we've mentioned with all the podcasts, these are like our thoughts and what we think and what we're experiencing. So it challenge you to think through that, and did any of this resonate with you? Did some of what we said make you go, yeah, that's true, I like that, or that could help me, or I disagree with that. It's entirely possible. We all have different experiences and the way we look at things. So if you have any of those thoughts, put that down in the chat, or messages when this particular episode goes up. We'd like to hear those particular thoughts. And as normal, or as we usually say, if there's other topics like this or some aspect of this that you might find interesting for us to delve into a little bit deeper, absolutely put that in to the chat. Let us know. We appreciate that feedback. So thanks again, and make it a great day. Thank you.